the very valuable lesson that I've learned is plotting my whole life to escape from here, plotting my whole life to run away. And living in Paris and living in New York and living in LA and having this life and private planes and celebrities and red carpets and the Oscars and the Grammys and all of that, is that there is a value in everybody's life. You don't have to be from Mississippi. You don't have to be from Aberdeen. But there is a value to home. I think that that's, sort of what troubled me, 25 years later. The houses had come to the end of a bloodline, so to speak. And so once that happens, unless the house gets really lucky, that begins this cycle of, disrepair and, sadly, in some cases, the house not surviving. It's a huge commitment now for someone to buy one of these houses and take care of them. It sort of became an infatuation for me. I mean, it was a hobby, it was creative, and I also realized, that in some cases, certainly not all cases, I was actually saving the house. It's a huge commitment to do it, and I think that, you have to innately have a passion for that. It's not just about architecture, and it's not just about my emotional attachments to the place where I grew up. I respect sort of the history and the heritage a lot of this town, and I think that that's a huge part of what sort of drove me emotionally to want to come back, is I saw that was being lost. I loved Aberdeen growing up here, although I couldn't wait to leave. And I never thought that I would ever come back. I certainly never thought that I would invest here or buy a house here and now consider moving back permanently. I just felt a need to leave and to sort of reinvent myself and, maybe try things in a different way.
Well, after high school and Stanton College, Billy took a job as a window dresser for Goldsmith's department store in Memphis. Not long after that, Billy decided it was time to move to New York.
The only thing that I'd ever done was retail, and so I thought, from seeing Macy's on the Thanksgiving Day parade growing up in Aberdeen, that was the only place I knew to go was Macy's. Walked into personnel and in my complete Southern accent, said, "My name's Billy Brasfield and I want a job here doing the windows." She sort of felt like I have to help this hillbilly or something. The windows are not an option. Maybe I could get you a job in cosmetics. Can you do makeup? And I said, sure, knowing that, of course, I had never done it. So I had the interview and they hired me.
Well, a few years went by at Macy's, and then Billy began to get noticed for his great makeup work.
I thought, I need to get out of Macy's. If I'm going to pursue being a makeup artist, I need to get a night job so I can have my days to pursue being a makeup artist. So that's what I did. I started working in nightclubs. Ultimately, because of that nightclub, was discovered by a photographer. And from that point on, I went from being a bar back to doing celebrities' makeup. And literally, from one day to the next, my life changed. My agent called and said, I don't know what this is, but a record label called. There's this young girl that is doing a little tiny picture for Time magazine. You're not going to be able to use it for your portfolio. It's no money, but supposedly she's going to be this big star and it's going to take you a couple of hours. Do you want to do it? And I said, sure. And it was Mariah Carey. I worked with her for years. I did all of her videos. I did her wedding to Tommy Mottola. Then it was a domino effect. I started doing lots of pop stars. Mary J. Blige, Missy Elliott, Pink, Destiny's Child. I did MySpace, and immediately there were thousands of friend requests of makeup artists, from aspiring makeup artists, literally from all over the world. That was the moment for me that I realized that I had become successful. So when I realized I had an audience, I thought, I'm gonna do brushes. That's what I'm gonna do. And I created Billy B Beauty. I think it's probably 2 years old. You know, sort of living this jet set life as people perceive it, and it really is. I mean, it's hard work. It's a real job. But coming here, I need to dig in the dirt. I need to watch things grow. I need to touch something that's mine.
He found this little house on Highland Avenue in Aberdeen and bought it and redid that one and bought one across the street and redid that one. And that's when it started, and it ended up 17 houses later, and he's still doing it.
I had bought a house that I thought was going to be my house. And as soon as I found out that this was available, I knew I had to have it. The Steamboat was built in 1897 by the richest man in Monroe County for his daughter, who everyone affectionately refers to as Miss Pinky. You know, they were nice enough to invite me to be part of the Aberdeen Pilgrimage, which is an annual event in Aberdeen where all of these beautiful Victorian antebellum homes are open for tour. And, you know, most of which are all true to the period, you know, with Victorian furnishings and, you know, antiques and all that stuff. And mine is a joke because it's just like, it looks like a, you know, big garage sale. I don't care if anybody else doesn't like it, you know. It's a funny, wacky house that I don't expect anyone else to like, and they don't have to because it's my house.
Billy's passion for all these old houses eventually led him to form a partnership with a friend of his that they call Sal.
SAL stands for Save Aberdeen Landmarks Incorporated, and its sole purpose is to save by some way, some means of saving these structures. We had the Kimball Bakery building downtown, one of our most important buildings in the heart of downtown.
He and I both sort of privately pursued funding and co-signed on a loan and put our heads together of how in the world we were going to save this building, and we did it. You know, it's one of my proudest achievements.
For him to come back and do what he's done, it's awesome. He has been a real inspiration to a lot of people. Very few times that I'm in town, somebody doesn't come up to me and say, I am so proud of what Billy is doing, to come back and do the things that he's doing and show that he loves and cares about Aberdeen.
You know, it brings it full circle back to Aberdeen. You know, I consider it a privilege to be able to look at a house like this and see its potential and not, you know, sort of think there's no hope. And I feel the same privilege doing makeup and having the joy of sort of having someone see themselves in a way they never have.